Hello. Oop, Uh, let's go with. There we go. How is everyone doing? Is the audio okay? Been trying to balance. I can barely hear the music myself, but hopefully it's decent for you guys. It sounds good? Okay, cool. So let's see, where were we? Alright, let's see. Plumpsmurfen. Maybe explain what has happened. Yes. It depends on what part you mean. Either it's the fact that I'm sitting here alone, or it's explaining what has been happening with the world building. What are we doing today and all that? Yeah. So I was thinking that to start off, we are going to continue where we left off with the world, and later on, probably somewhere around 8-ish, we will have our first attempt at a viewer submitted world, if that makes any sense. All right. So, for starters, what do we want to focus on today? Another town? Sounds good. So, how about let's make a completely new town from scratch. So, when I create towns, like I said before, I like to kind of like think, okay, what makes this town special? That's where I like to start. Um, and then of course we also have the amazing advice of sperm being social, political, economical, religious, and military. Um, so that could be a place to start. Like, what part is special about this town? Is it a particularly military town, or is it a particular economic town, like a trade hub, or is it like a religious stronghold, uh, like Aquia, or is it a social town? Is it a Las Vegas kind of town where that could be pretty cool, having like a cultural epicenter, which is like this is where the bards go. I'm kind of liking that idea. Uh, let's see. Settlement. Greetings from Skåne. August, are you in Skåne? Okay, let's see. We will temporarily call this Banana Town. A thing I've copied from Guy Slanders. Very, in my opinion, very good world builder. Rather than getting too hung up on things, he'll write the word banana as a placeholder. Oh, you're there on a holiday trip? Sounds nice. What type is it? What type is it? How about... Is this as close to a metropolis as will come? Perhaps? No. Let's stick with town for now. Let's go S. P. E. R. M. Let's try out this method. So what is their social aspect? Their social aspect would in that case be what, like it is a cultural center. Think Hollywood. Is that kind of like the idea of having a town that's, you know, kind of like Hollywood, where the bards go and they hope to have their big breakthrough? Something like that. Political. what political aspect do we have of this? I mean, it is a very influential town. Like, if this is where bards go and try to make it, they would have quite a lot of say for the people, because, like, bards could take extra jobs as town criers or whatever. Yeah, I guess. Hey, Goose, welcome. I guess, like, I'm just kind of. I'm just kind of going for it, using the sperm technique. So just to be clearer. There we go. So what would the political aspect be? I guess it's like, I'll write influencers for now. We'll get back to seeing what the hell that means later. Economical. Main livelihood is entertainment. I'm thinking this is also where, like, the bardic colleges would be. Or colleges in general. Maybe it's like a studious town. Colleges. The religious aspect. How religious would this be? What do you guys think? This is a brand new city. We don't know what it's called. At the moment, it's called Banana Town as a placeholder. The only thing we have so far is basically what you can see on the screen here. It's a cultural center. Think kind of Hollywood-ish. It's like the town of bards, more or less. So I don't know, maybe there's a god of... Yeah, exactly. I do really like, from the Greek mythos, there's a god called Dionysos, who is the god of wine, theater, and music. It's a passion song, dance. Yeah. They pray to a deal. God, I don't know if that's correctly spelled. I don't care. Smurfen. The little goblin woke. Aww. We are building a city using the sperm technique. And as you can see on the screen here, SPERM stands for social, political, economical, religious, military. And it's basically, yeah, it's a culture hub. So this would be, if this was a, I often like to compare to places in our world because it's an easy way to wrap your head around it. If I were to compare this to a city in our world, I would say this is LA. More specifically, Hollywood. It could also be New York, you know, with Broadway and art and stuff like that. But I feel like Hollywood is probably a better example with like the lifestyle that I'm thinking here. Suggestions for how I should spell it? Oh. There we go. And military... I don't feel like they would have a ton. Also consider the movie studio hubs in Germany during the early ages of movie making. Yeah. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know enough about that, but it could definitely be worth looking up. Yes, Goose, I love it. I love it. Magical toy shops. So it could be like a little, kind of like a little tin soldier or something, but instead of having, you know, you wind it up, you just like press a button or something, and a minor illusion cantrip goes off or something. It could be a really fun idea to have like souvenirs and have like action figures that that has like the magic mouth spell permanently cast on it. So like if you squeeze it, it will say a line or something, or you pull a string, you know, like the classic toys with the string in the back that you pull and they say something. That could be really fun. Let's see. For military, so Goose, you mean kind of like in Harry Potter, where you have wizard's chess? That could be pretty cool. I agree with you, August. I think, like, I don't feel like there would be a heavy military presence. It's probably more like a city guard that it's smaller and less deadly, yeah. Probably like a city guard with military I know what I mean at least. Leaders. So what I mean by that is basically that most of the people are just city guards, but the leaders, the officers and stuff, they are militarily trained, or you know what I mean. um, okay, so we got that. Excuse me. Ruler owner, will get back to that. Alternative names. We don't have a name for it yet. Demographics. I mean, bards. Government. Ooh. This is pretty fun. We can play around a little bit with. Let's see. Regarding military. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, August. That's a great idea. That maybe it isn't, or maybe that's how it's been because oh god, I completely blanked on his name now. Matt Colville, that's his name. He talks about in some of his videos. He may have gotten it from somewhere else, but that's where I heard it. He talks about that when there's war in your campaign, rather than asking yourself why is there war, you should be asking yourself why was there peace? Because more often than not, war is our normal state of things. Usually something is keeping war from happening. And so maybe in this case, it's like they had this agreement that nobody would try to take over this particular region because it's valuable for everyone. But maybe someone is trying to take it over. And that's a basis for another adventure. Campaign number 8 or whatever, as Eli would say. I like that. So maybe maybe it could be like an I'm getting some democracy vibes, but not straight up democracy. So maybe it's like electocracy. Electocracy? Where basically citizens are able to vote for their governments but cannot participate directly in governmental decision making. So that could potentially be something where maybe this particular region isn't. It's its own region, but it's not. So, like, each other region elects a representative. And the city is... Oh, thank you so much, Dancing Jay, for following. But maybe it's like the city is governed by a representative from each other state. What are we thinking about that? Awesome. Yeah, I'm kind of feeling it. So let's see. Governed by Let's make it Holy Land to several factions. Yeah. Could this be Aquarius? No. Aquarius has his own thing. I'm starting to think rather than a town, it should probably be like almost like a capital. Maybe that's kind of the thing. Like, this is the capital. So what if the entire area is like a country, kind of like the United States, where the entire area is one country, but there are a bunch of different states, and the states aren't necessarily allied with each other. That could be something. Yes, Dancing Jay, you can absolutely get a quick recap. I'm going to find, is this one? Nope. I don't have it in front of me right now, so I will just do a quick recap. So, this world has a big gash going straight through the middle. Mountain ranges on both sides of a gigantic river of lava. Food and water is pretty scarce. There are ancient ruins of like modern structures that has been reclaimed by nature, and animal life has mutated and adapted, and are now living in what used to be like think like New York if nature had reclaimed New York, and monsters are living like in the ruins. There are a bunch of small city-states. Most of them have different types of trade goods. One of the big ones being water, which is extremely valuable here. What else we got? We got the largest religion is to the god Aquarius, the god of water, as water is pretty scarce. There are some chosen by God who basically, if it was a D&D game, they would know the create food and water spell. And there are specific laws against creating water if you're not in the church and stuff. It's like a political kind of like they want monopoly on it, more or less. And right now we're creating a town using the sperm method. Sperm being social, political, economical, religious, and military. So by focusing on those 5 aspects, we're kind of digging out this town. Which at the moment seems to be a Hollywood-like capital, kind of. So it's a political and cultural stronghold. I don't know if I made it canon or not, but I still love the idea, personally. And I could absolutely see it being like, you have Crusaders of Aquarius searching for the Holy Grail, King Arthur style. I think, like, oh, thank you, Dancing Jay. And a lot of this comes from chat. So if you have any ideas or anything, feel free to just throw it out there. Um, Normally, I have a second person on the stream. Today, that person was unavailable, unfortunately, so it's just me. But we make it work. Shifting to Wolf, good evening. I'm doing fine. How are you? How is everyone doing? Bork bork. Da, 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 da. So yeah, let's see. Representative electo proceed. Stomach flu. Oh man, that sucks. Sorry to hear that. Some homebrewing. Yeah. All right. Infrastructure. I feel like their infrastructure would be pretty good. Is there anything that would stand out regarding infrastructure? I mean, they gotta have like an amphitheater. I don't know how to spell that word. How do I spell that word? Who cares? Assets. I mean, their main asset, I think, is... Oh, yeah. Amphitheater... colleges... It is what it is. Well, it's good. Hopefully, it's not the big one, so to speak. And I hope that hanging out with like-minded people and just getting your creative juices flowing will provide a good distraction for you. Okay, so we got amphitheater, we got colleges. Okay, so you tested negative. That's I'm glad to hear that. We got amphitheaters, colleges. Well, assets. Bards. Wait, birds. Thank you for following Shifting to Wolf. Shifting to Wolf, maybe, rather. Bards can be birds. Yes, them Aarakocra bards. Yeah, hopefully. I know personally, like, I've been more aware of it myself. Like, I don't think I'm going to stop using like hand sanitizer or washing my hands after coming back home, even when it blows over. Because I think I read somewhere that we've had like a record low of seasonal flu because of the social distancing and people, you know. Yeah. Anyway, let's see. So we got bards. What other assets do we have? Yeah, gotta protect against those pollen. Holy ground. I feel like that could be an asset. Defenses. I would almost put the holy ground down again as defenses. Holy ground, and it would also be hay fever is the devil in disguise. City guard, something like that, maybe. So their defenses is the fact that they're on holy ground, so people don't want to use it. Yeah, I know that feeling. It's basically your nostrils going like, fuck this shit, I'm out. You guys should see Sarah's Instagram video she posted a couple years ago. Amazing. Industry and trade. Bards. Yeah, no kidding. And education. I like to think that it's not just bardic colleges. It's also, you know, kind of like wizarding, like the colleges are also for like wizards and artificers and, you know, the other types. It sounds like you, Sarah, with the nosebleeds. All right, guilds and factions. So I'm gonna go grab a drink real quick. Meanwhile, chat, how about you write down some guild or faction names, some suggestions, and I will be right back.
That was quick.
Yeah.
I was gonna be like standing like, hey.
Order of the Wave. Yes. That is perfect, considering our Aqueous boys. What else we got? We got the Mockingbirds. I don't know what they do. We'll figure it out later. How meta do we want to go? I like that. The Pearl Company, I like that too. I like your idea, Plumpsmurfen. I'm just trying to think of like finding an acronym with X. That doesn't feel forced. That's the hard part. Xanathar's Guide of... Oh, nope, that's already used. I like that. Yes. Speaking of, on the Discord, you can find a chat called Answers to Questionnaire, where if you want to, you can fill out a questionnaire and link the documents in that chat. If you want to have your world brought up and worked on with the brain power of everyone here. As a matter of fact, we already have 2 people who has sent their worlds, and if they feel up for it, I would be more than happy to do both of them today. I'm glad to hear it, Dancing Jay. If you check out our Discord, in the Discord there is under CarpeDM there is one called Questionnaire Responses. Explosive Pottery Guild. I like it. I want that as a shop. I don't know what that is, but I want it as a shop name. I'm gonna just put it in the freeform texts somewhere. I'll put it in parentheses shop? Question mark? Yeah, I was thinking. That's what I was thinking. Like explosive pottery could be like fantasy grenades. It could be. That's pretty cool. Like it could be an artificer thing. A xenocrys is a crystal included within an igneous rock, as the magma cooled but not formed from it. Huh. That's cool. Yeah, kinda. Yeah, let's go with that. How about the explosive Potters Guild. Ooh, I like that. Explosive chicken? Why do I get Zelda vibes from that? Explosive goose for the Inquisition! Oh my god! Nobody expects it! Oh, there has to be a guild called the Goose Chasers. Yeah, sure, why not? It's a spin on, you know, a wild goose chase. Again, like, I have no idea what these factions do. But I like to just throw out names and then kind of like... The Grumpy Goose. That's a good tavern name. Yeah, we had a lot of fun with the goose stuff. Let's see. Well, we'll leave that for now. Oh, I should probably save. Oh, we should have a name. Oh, the Wandering Hand. That's good. Could be a thieves guild. Yeah, I kind of like, or maybe just the Hand. Or is that a thing? I mean, other than, you know, being the Hand in Game of Thrones, like being the Hand of the King, but other than that, like as a faction, is the Hand a thing already? Or is it too obvious? Like, we'll keep it as a Wandering Hand for now. V for Vendetta. No. Or is that where the hand is from? Or what? Has fingers. What? I'm confused. Okay. What should we call this city? Fingermen sounds naughty. Or maybe it's just me having a dirty mind. That's fine. Mm-hmm. If you want to, you can, but you don't have to. Mm. Antingen det eller om vi... Nej. We'll figure something out. Men det är vanligt. All right. Two in the stink and you in the clink? What? All right. So this city needs a name. Don't read that out loud. Too late. Don't worry about it. You'll never be monetized. Yeah. We're not quite at that point yet. So we might as well get it out of our systems now. All right. What are good names for towns? If we all close our eyes and we visualize the town in front of us, just with the information that we have, what do we see? Yeah, I know the feeling, Wolf. I think I see... This is not a... like... coastal town. I think. I almost see it being in a valley of sorts. Yeah, exactly. Like it's probably it survives off of tourism and probably like tuition fees for the colleges. Why did I think? What about adult stores? Hashtag damaged. Yes. Absolutely. Maybe that should be something. Stage should be in the name of the town. Because it's such a central part of it. Stage Valley. No, that doesn't. Yeah? Sure. In just a little bit, we're going on break soon. So we can set that up during the break. Yeah, it was all that talk about them. It's a slippery slope. Yeah. Only downhill from here. But like... Stage Hill. Hill Stage. Hill... Coltropolis. No, that sounds like a place with cults rather than culture. Fabric merchants and seamstress would make a lot of money. Yeah, for, you know, yeah, and there'd be certain tailors and stuff that would specialize in like costumes. Uh, oh god, I can't unsee it. All right. So I'm being quiet. My gears are going overtime. Let's see. So I feel like the name should be something descriptive of the town. Probably like a combination of the thing they're the most known for and a geographical feature. Oh, that's not a bad idea. We would just need to come up with the name of the god. Uh, Bartholomew, no. And what would a god like that be named? Yeah, that's true. That's true. Uh, well, that's a pretty cool name. Does the erudite stand for anything? Because that could actually be uh, like Eruden. Eruditia. Ooh. I like that. I kind of like that for like a city name. What about Erudite Valley? Would that be a good name for the city? Erudencia. I kind of like. It's a dense, well-learned person. Uh, I'll put that in parentheses, and we'll come back to that. Because... Oh, I can't put it in parentheses. I'll just put war. Densia. And we're going to save changes. And we are going to go on a break for about 5 minutes. Please don't go anywhere. Feel free to continue chatting in chat. Talk about ideas, homebrews, anything you feel like. And we will be back with a guest for the second half. Whoop whoop. I will see you guys in a bit. And we are back. We swapped sides, but that's fine. I would like to welcome Tim.
Hello.
It's good to see you. This, Tim, was my very first D&D 5e DM that I played with.
That must be like 6 years now, almost.
Yeah,
Like 2015, 2016.
something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Chat are saying, hi, Tim.
For some reason, my browser is refusing to allow me access onto any sites at the moment, so I actually can't see anything. Let's see if I can sort it out.
So, we are going to try and see how this works. We are going to bring in whoever wants it first, Goose or Small Town Salt. Okay, we have one vote for Goose. All right. So if you are on Discord, I can bring you into the. Let's see. Where is Goose? There is Goose. How do I do this? Do I need to be...
I'm not certain there's any voice channels for him to jump into.
There we go. There we go. Goose, you have gotten an invite. In the meantime, yes, that's the one. I'm going to bring up his questionnaire. Yeah? Oh. It's locked. I think I invited you to it now.
Yeah, if you created an invite and sent it to him, he should end up directly in the channel if he clicks it.
I'm trying again. How about now? Ja, jag vet. Det är den tar från skärmen. Så när jag har Discord uppe så...
Cutting our faces off.
But it's still
Yeah,
locked.
okay. So if you make a new channel, like in text chat, just make an open channel called Hub or something. He should be able to join that, and then you can, with your admin powers, just drag him into this channel.
Okay. Hub.
Yeah, just somewhere. As long as it's open.
There we go.
There we go. Pull him in. Hey, there we go.
There we go. Oh god.
There we go. Pull him in. Hey, there we go.
There we go. Oh god.
There we go. Pull him in. Hey, there we go.
There we go.
There we go. Good. You're gonna need to mute the stream.
Yeah, I did.
Ah, thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, it got really, really weird real quick.
Yep.
There we go. Hello, Goose. It's
Hello.
nice to talk to you.
I know, it's fun.
All right, so on stream we have Goose's questionnaire, and the reason why is because I feel like it's easier for us to help if we all have the same information. Are people able to read it on stream?
Make it a tad bit larger, I think. You can hold control and scroll up if you're on an internet page, I believe. Yeah,
Something like that?
yeah, that's perfect. Allows us to do one thing at a time.
So, sirs, we have the map here. That's cool. Personally, I have to say I really like your deities and like the whole system with that.
Yeah, thank you. That's something I worked on since I was a kid. Like, I built this world because just those ideas I've had for a long time. I used to like draw them and make comics and stuff, so.
Okay, so because I don't know how fast people read, I will read it out loud and people can just read at their own pace. So what do you need help with? Just some general neat plot points and ideas for world and cities. I'm having trouble distinguishing cities by making them unique, and maybe a revamp of my world map because I'm not as good as incarnate as Sarah is. Aww. What type of setting is your world? It is high fantasy, very Game of Thrones-esque. Thank you, Tim, for subscribing. A lot of political intrigue and such. Cool. Are there any elements that differ? The world is very, very young, relatively speaking, and undiscovered, and such the gods are very active in the mortal realm. Okay, so immediately I get the vibe of, like, okay, the gods will come into play a lot. In one way or another.
Yeah.
And the summary is creation. This world is fairly young, so technology isn't advanced, but magic has, of course, played a huge role in shaping civilization. There's a certain celestial hierarchy that I follow. Theos, the creator, is the god. He created his children, the prime gods, using powerful artifacts called the Gems of Creation, mythical stones of great power. Together, Theos and his children form the material plane and beyond, soon resorting to making their own children and so on. The gods were very active until their differences caused the First War, which was a world-altering war that eventually led to the creation of the Abyss and a covenant, the Treaty of the Greater Good. An arrangement made between mortals and immortals to send the gods to their own plane to rule from afar, as to prevent further conflict. So my campaign is starting in the Third Era, which of course comes after the First and Second, but also in between the First War Era and the Second War Era. This system is, and the Imperial Moon Calendar was created by the Cordic Empire, a high elven empire that is very powerful and very large. Because history is written by the victors, and this empire is certainly winning. The Empire was founded by the Eladrin High Elves, Moon Elves, a race deeply connected with the Moon and the Feywild. They quickly took advantage of their divine blessing in bountiful lands. The Zulkari, or Sun Elves, were rivals to these Eladrin and were eventually driven out of Cordia, and the whereabouts are unknown. In reality, they became the Drow, still called Zulkari. I love that irony of the Sun Elves being the Drow.
Right. Yeah, I wanted to play on that because I didn't know how to incorporate Drow. Because I don't like the idea of them just being evil just because they live underground.
Mm.
So I came up with an intriguing reason, like why they're hateful, why they're stuck underground.
Yeah, it's great. And in their seclusion, they plan to make the Empire and the gods that forsake them pay. The setting is on that in the continent Opal, which is recovering from the Third War just 7 years ago. A war which the Cordians took control of the continent due to previous regimes' ineptitude. Tensions are high, however, as the Cordians that initially made the deal with the gods and drove them away to their own realm. Some nations on Opal do not take kindly to the banishment of their gods and the invasion of their home. So it's a political balance between the Empire and the kingdoms that they rule that were left without true leadership. These kingdoms are divided by the gods / prime gods they worship. As such, the Wood Elves maintain worshipping Aslos, the god of light. That is not to say that there has been a crossover between worship and the gods, but typically that's what you'll find. There has also been an emergence of a demonic cult followings and activity that many worried that the betrayer gods, now demons, are finally returning to enact revenge on the material plane. In actuality, this is a major spoiler if you read this, so beware. Spoiler alert. You ain't playing. If you read this, you ain't playing in the campaign. The demons are trying to run, escape the abyss, as Arkdrauth, the astral annihilation, a willful, wanton, and careless destructive force, makes its way to the outer planes, consuming everything in its path. Cool. I love it.
That's too much. I just need ideas to, like, I don't know.
Get the game starting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. My first thought doesn't really have anything to do with the campaign, but just a way to understand the chronological order of things. You're calling them like the first, second, and third war. If you're calling the eras as well, like first, second, and third era, it's going to be very confusing as to like what is referred to what. Would there be a possibility of like naming the wars something, like not just first, second, or third, but maybe I'm trying to like we have the Cold War, we have the third, the 100-year-old war.
Right.
Just to give like an easier of following of what happens for somebody that isn't as knowledgeable of the world as you are, because for you it makes sense, and it always will, because you know all of it in your head.
Right. So, yeah, that's why I put the syntax in there. So the first era is like the era of peace. Like that was when creation was. That's when history started being recorded, and creation was, written down and archived. And then the first war era, that was, as I mentioned, when the gods had the war, and there's just their differences caused it. And then the second era came after the treaty, and then the second war era. So I'm just trying to separate eras, as in there's an era, and then there's a war era, and then there's another era.
What if you were to call like? It just popped into my head, like, since the first war era was like the war of the gods, could it be something like the Titanic War, or the War of Gods, or
I could see
like
that. Yeah.
Maybe.
It's just a very small thing for like understanding the chronology of the world.
Right.
Because it's just a very.
Although I do kind of see, like, when I'm looking at the syntax you put in there, in a way it kind of makes sense. It's like the first war era and the second war era are both like transitional phases into the second era and the third era.
That's just how they divide the eras. Is what my idea was.
Yep. So, for the campaign, if we start thinking, what do you want the character's role to be like? Even though, of course, they can somewhere along the line decide to do whatever the fuck they want. Like, what would you personally want the end goal to be of the campaign? Would it to be to stop this possible invasion, or to bring gods back, or?
Well, I know my players are interested heavily in roleplay and political intrigue. The end goal, of course, is to stop the astral annihilation and destruction. But I want that to be like a big reveal as they're. I want them to think the goal is to stop the demons.
Yeah.
From invading. But then they'll find out, oh crap, there's a new thing that the demons are running from. Like, these aren't the real bad guys. And so maybe I'll split that into 2 campaigns, or... But it just depends how it goes, honestly, but...
Yeah. I did have a thought, like, immediately when I was reading it, a thing popped into my head, and it actually, in a way, kind of reminds me of the first campaign I played with Tim. Because these gems, they are, like, made to be MacGuffins. Like, there's so much potential with, like, for instance, you have, like, oh, this, maybe to the players it seems like these demons are trying to get a hold of these gems in order to create their own god.
Yeah, that was kind of the idea I had with them. That's why I mentioned them. Should have been a little more detailed there.
No, don't worry about it. Like, at this point, we're just brainstorming in general. But I do really like the idea of basically being like, oh, we gotta stop these demons. But then it turns out that maybe the demons... It could, for instance, be like, what if it's a little bit almost like Lord of the Rings, where you have, like, powerful leaders have gotten a hold of these gems, and they are using them to, like, make their crops grow or stuff like that. But the gems are also working as a beacon for this force that's coming to destroy everything. And so the players will... Well, at first they think that the demons are coming for the gems, and they have to protect the gems, but over the course of time they would discover that what if the gems need to be destroyed?
Right.
I had a fun thought about that.
I do like that.
What if the demons are coming to collect the gems in order to protect their own realm?
Yeah, that's kind of the idea I had. Like, obviously the demons still don't care about mortals at all.
No.
So, like, yes, they're trying to escape the abyss, and my idea was that while they're doing that, they're trying to take over the material plane for themselves, and then use it as, like, a last line of defense.
Yeah, like this astral, I don't recall the name, but this, like, astral being that was coming and was going to be like the big, my thought was, what if that thing is already on its way, or already, like, partially through to one of the hells, and the demons are, like, literally coming to the material planes just to collect these gems, to bring them back to stop it on their plane.
I do like that. All right,
because then. Go ahead, Dave. Yeah.
Oh, personally, I was, like, almost thinking, like, you know how you could say that we are slowly killing our planet, and we're looking into like, are there other planets we can inhabit and stuff. And also, like, throughout history, discovering new places, it's a very common thing to, like, oh, well, we can't live here, so we're just gonna move to this place. Oh, there are already things here. Oh, well, we'll just wipe them out. And so, like, that could also be a possibility that the demons are trying to take over the material plane. But the reason why they're doing it is because they can't live in the abyss anymore.
Yeah.
So
Right.
they, and it could even potentially be, especially if your players like role playing and political intrigue and stuff. Maybe they could even side with the demons temporarily. Like, if they can, like, even demons can cooperate for a bit if they have something to gain from it. They're probably not
Yes.
as likely as devils, but
A cooperative expedition to look for a gem or something.
yeah.
So it sounds like we're going to focus this campaign then around the gems, either like to be a thing.
That is
Then-
the title of my campaign on Roll20. So yeah,
Awesome. So if it's going to be that, like, I think that you can go two ways if we're going to have the demons in. Either that the demons are popping up randomly, let's say that they pop up in place X, where the demons are looking for this pearl or gem, but the players are unaware that there is a gem there at the start. So when they go there to protect the demon invasion, they have no idea why the demons are popping up there. So, like, the first step of the campaign would be simply stop the demons from, like, spreading in the material realm and figure out why the fuck they're popping up where they are. Or
I like
the
that.
players know that the gems are there, and, like, they go, like, to the places where the demons are to collect them as well.
yeah. Like my first big bad is gonna be a Knoll Pack Lord that was granted powers by a demon and sent out to seek a gem.
Mhm.
And so they're like defiling crypts and temples and everything, just looking for gems, causing havoc on the way. But the players will only think they're just causing havoc.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so,
You could even take it a step further and say that that this Knoll pack leader is possessed by a demon.
right.
Uh,
Yeah, I forget what it was. Nagu or something.
yeah, yeah. I've
I think
never
that
learned how to pronounce it.
Possessed would
something
be
like that.
a cool thing, because then it is the demons coming in and trying to, rather than, I can see things making deals as well. I think that possession could be a great thing for, like, the big bads here and there, and, like, some, perhaps it's also the line of, like, those that have been possessed can be saved versus those who have made the pacts can't be saved. So maybe, you know, down the line there's, like, an NPC that the players have come to like, a demon possesses them, and then they also have to figure out, you know, how to save them. So I think having both possession and pact
I
making
like
is a
that.
great thing.
I really like that.
Especially since I love moral dilemmas.
By the way,
I-
chat,
I-
feel free to chime in at any point.
Yes, please, please.
I think that if you're looking for a political campaign and where there's a lot of role playing in as well, I think that it's important to have. I don't know how many gems you have an idea of wanting to place around the world that they need to collect, but I think that it's important to have a small to larger portion of them in, quote unquote, like, easy accessible places, such as a rich nobleman's vault, or places
Yeah.
where they have to.
If you look at the my celestial hierarchy, each god, so the god of life, god of light, god of water, they were each created from a gem of their element. So there's a gem of life, a gem of light, that kind of thing.
Okay.
So there's that
Here we go.
gem.
So then, what is it that will happen when they bring these gems together?
I don't know.
Okay, so these gems are the reason why this astral thing hasn't been able to enter the material realm before. I'm assuming, like, they have somehow had a protection around the material realm, or simply stopped whatever beacon it is that's trying, like, to send signals, but they are weakening in power then, or they're simply.
Or maybe with the banishment of the gods that led to a weakening or something.
Ooh.
So something like their connection. Some, like, are all the gods banished, or just some?
Well, the dilemma here is that they weren't banished, but a lot of the factions who worshipped the gods used that word against the Empire.
Okay.
It was an agreement, and so the demons were the betrayer gods that caused the first war, and they were cast down. And so that was banishment, and so civilizations that worshipped them were also cast down and disgraced and destroyed.
I can see a line, like, however, it's going to be long, I feel, but if the connection between the gem and the gods are being weakened, then maybe there are certain places, maybe the origin of the gods where they were born, where the players have to bring these gems back in order to, quote unquote, power them back up.
I love that.
Ooh, yeah.
So they have to not only research where, but go there and then, do some shit. And those locations could be in catacombs under large cities, or literally in the Elven Empire, having to infiltrate there as well. Like, that is a very long quest line, however. But, like, even though it's a lot of travel involved in that, I feel like the demons could be something reoccurring, because after the first, like, gem has been found, the demons probably know that this group is looking for it, and they are following these players in order to get the gems themselves. So even though there's a lot of moving and such, it shouldn't be a problem to incorporate demons and devils popping up as well.
Yeah, because eventually there'll be that shift in the party where they don't know they're seeking the gems, but eventually they find out, and then that's their objective. I like that.
Yeah, that sounds great.
We have three. So we have 8 gems. You could have it so that, like, each gem collection, maybe there's several gems at one place, would also be like one level if you're doing milestones. So that it grants, like, a very natural level up as well. Of we're getting the water gem first, and then there's a level up at the end. Maybe the sky gem and the earth gem are at the same place, and then after they're fixed or gotten them, there's also, so you then scale or sculpt then most of the campaign around the finding and power upping of these gems. Because I think that that's going to be enough for a long campaign. So the question
what's
is,
interesting is you have 2 negative gems as well.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a bit of a moral dilemma there as well.
Yeah, I have it's split 4-4 with positive and negative energies.
maybe the gems needs to be powered up by what they're made of as well.
Yes.
So the gem of death is going to be a big ass problem to fix.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was gonna ask you if you had any ideas to, like, because I think they should be powerful magic items that, like, you can attune to, but there's like requirements and stuff.
I think make them into set items. That's usually what I do for big things like this.
Yeah, like it comes with an artifact or something in order to be used or something.
I think you can because there's 8 of them. I think you can kind of put them together. So just having the Gem of Life might give you the ability to cast Mass Cure Wounds or something.
Yeah.
And then just having the Gem of Light gives you the ability to cast Daylight. But having both of them gives you something special. The same with maybe Shadow of Death. Having one of them gives you one thing, and then the other also one thing. But together they're stronger. So you can make them like those two that kind of fit together, that are their opposites, are possible to fuse together as one.
Yeah, I really like that. Let's see, what else do we have? So you were talking about cities as well, right?
Yeah, because it's a big world. It's sprawling. So I just need help distinguishing making unique cities, because I don't want them to just be repeats of each other.
Yeah, that's a hard ass thing. Yeah. I've just spent a long ass time writing 40 cities, and you come to the point where it's just I don't know what I'm doing.
This one has a river.
The one thing that I have is you can make the cities that don't have something interesting, don't mark them. Just leave it blank, and then tell the players that there's of course smaller cities and hamlets along the map where you can find a roadside tavern, maybe a blacksmith,
right?
And then you only mark the larger ones, and then the other ones are simply we're gonna have to go to this town, and then you can make it up as they go there, rather than making every part of the map, because that is going to exhaust you. So
that is kind of what I've done. I have in my, I wouldn't say spreadsheet, but I have a lot of Google Docs related to this. But yeah, I list out each of the cities, and then I'm working on most of the Imperial cities right now, just information and history about it, and then maybe their government structure, the approximate population, then maybe some interesting ideas.
Yeah, sorry if I'm talking over you, Ian. So just remember to tell me to shut up.
Go on.
I think that when it comes to making cities, I'll just bring up my own shit here for a moment, make a reference. So places, what you can do is you can for the large towns, for me it's been, they have maybe one place of significance where it's this is a cool place, and then it's just a very short, this town here I have in front of me, it's called Piketown. It has 3,891 inhabitants in it, and it's just 2 very short paragraphs of why it's situated where it is, and maybe some short part of its history, and possibly what it does. So this one in particular is, it makes herbs and potions, because the forest around it has a lot of those ingredients. And it doesn't have to be much about it, because when the players get to the point of getting to a city, you will still need to fill it out, no matter how much prep you make now.
Yeah.
Right.
So don't make too much. Don't take all of the interesting parts and put it into one city. Spread out. If you have these cool ideas, just spread it out and make it interesting, so that when the players get to one of these places, you can still they over here, that's over in the next town, there's been a catacomb that's been uncovered when they were digging graves and whatever. So it's also something that kind of drives them forward when you're creating these places.
And this is why I love having a bunch of different guest DMs on, because as you noticed, Goose, this is absolutely not how we've been doing it. We've been getting into the nitty-gritty of a bunch of different things, but that's why I love this, because everybody has their own way of doing things, and that's the kind of diversity that I really envision for this, because that gives people more options. And a lot of the things that you say, Tim, makes a lot of sense.
I still think that you should, like what you mentioned, the part of government is very important, but it's enough. So if you're like describing, like when you're writing shit up, if you always start with the place, like instead of making it so if you're writing this island and it happens to have 2 cities of an empire that has no other cities there, instead of writing like all of them up at the same time, you can always start like in the capitals and just write the government form for the entire kingdom there.
Yeah.
Rather than for every single city or just yeah. But I think kind of coming back to, because I really like the story, like where do they begin? Like how do the story begin?
Well, right now they start on the Imperial continent of Cordia, in the capital, and they were just hired to travel by ship to escort a merchant to Opal. And so what I had them do for their backstories is give me a reason why they would need to travel to Opal. Because I like having my players create lore and ideas and plot hooks.
Mm-hmm.
And they've done a really good job. They give me an idea for an actual city also, so that helped too. So yeah, I like giving players the control sometimes too.
Yeah,
I think it's... Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, that's a typical practical things to use to try to like tie the two together, both having hey, Tales Around the Tavern Fire, welcome. Both having like the plot hook that you have intended, or like the plot hook for the story merges with the plot hook for a particular character. For instance, like say that just a classic example, the blacksmith comes running in to the tavern and says that his daughter is missing or has been taken by trolls. The players will most likely be like, yeah, sure, we'll deal with it, because gold XP, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But if the blacksmith comes in and says, they've taken my daughter, and they said something about this other girl that they've taken, and maybe one of the players I've written in the backstory that they're looking for their sister, then you can have the blacksmith's daughter be at you can really like, yeah, and the blacksmith's daughter looks a lot like your sister, so maybe the person, maybe they thought it was your sister but took the blacksmith's daughter instead. That'll really get the PC going. That was a pretty convoluted way of explaining it, but
yeah,
you get
I got it.
Yeah. I think that another thing, what you said, is also very important, and I think that it's something that everybody could learn from and use. It's when a player knows something, or when a player rolls a skill check and they succeed on it, what you always can do is you can ask them, how do they know this? And then what they say can be used as canon. It's a way for you to create things without really putting everything on you yourself. It's a like cheap way of quickly building the world by using other people, because as we see here, just like by adding one person, or two people into your world. Like, you're getting a lot forward, and this can be done by like simple things that, oh, why do you know that werewolves are weak to silver? Or why do you know that
Yeah, well, my uncle was a werewolf hunter. They're common around these parts. Or they used to be before the purge happened.
So
And
don't feel the need to always fill out everything. Leave gaps. Leave creativity for your players in order for them to fill the blanks out. Because the more that you fill out, the more strict it's going to be for your players, but that they're always going to have to end up asking you rather than coming up with things themselves. So it's fine that you don't create everything.
Right.
But coming back to the storyline of like your players going from one place to another, an important part is that you need to set scales for how big this map is. If you have a very large map, you're going to end up with a lot of downtime, and then you're going to need to fix something that they can do during downtime, such as training skill proficiencies or adding to expertise or blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Because if you're saying that it is a very large empire then or world, then my thinking is like, how big would Opal be? Are we talking like Opal is the same size of America? Or is it the same size of France? So it's important for you yourself to know how big of the things are before you start plopping everything out.
Right.
Because travel time is something that most DMs struggle with and have a problem with somehow engaging their players.
So much with it.
It's important that you set those lines up yourself, because you could have like this, like, oh, this is amazing, this is great, like I want to, and then you realize that like travel time normally is like 30 kilometers a day by walking, maybe 50 kilometers if you're riding a horse pretty fast, and those are like not very long distances.
Yeah, absolutely. For instance, in my world, I used Britain as kind of like a reference, especially because my world is planet Earth, but like I've changed some features by looking at maps that like if the water level would rise by 2 meters. What would the world look like and stuff like that. And I really like that you're using a grid here, because grids can be super useful. For my map, I put a grid and I basically looked up like, okay, for D&D 5e, which is a system that I'm playing in, what is like 1 hour of travel time? Like 1 hour of normal travel time, that's 1 square. For me, because that makes it easier for me to calculate when my players are going somewhere. Then, you know, like they ask, oh, how far is it, or how long does it take to travel? I can just count the squares and be like, oh, it takes 4 hours if you go normal pace, about 2 or 3 hours if you go at a fast pace, and maybe 6 hours if you go at a slow pace. So grid maps really help with that kind of stuff.
They definitely do. So what you could do, since we somehow got stuck on the maps now. No. It's fine, as long as you feel that it's fine, Goose. If this is something that you want to, So I think that if, let's say that you want to have larger maps, that you want to have like each of these continents being pretty darn big, my suggestion would be to just have a very rough world map and then make each individual continent more detailed.
Yeah, that's what that is.
Yeah. And as we saw last week when Sarah was drawing maps, they've added that beautiful feature in Incarnate where you can just like you can just pick like this part of the map
Yeah, and make
and
a new
make
one.
a new map from that.
Yeah.
It's a great feature. Incarnate, please sponsor us sometime in the future.
Yeah.
I need to get a subscription.
Yeah, it's absolutely worth it. Okay.
So-
is there anything else we can help you with?
I mean, that was really good advice, and I wrote down a lot. That was awesome.
And again, this is still new with the format and stuff, so we could try later on. Like, if you want to continue this, we could try later on again, depending on how many people we get. Because obviously, I want to try to prioritize people who hasn't been on yet first. But
I want to say one last thing before we boot him out into the real world. So the first thing that's going to happen is this boat ride over from Cordia to Opal, right?
Mhm.
So have them very soon meet or see something of this big bad evil guy. It doesn't have to be it's he's there, but it could be a wanted poster. It could be the town crier yelling out that there's a Null pack running around and harassing the villagers or whatever. Just give them a direction, unless that you feel like your players are super good at finding directions themselves. Just give them a very quick and clear direction of this is the first focus, because it's very easy for players to at the start of a campaign not know where they're going, and then they're gonna stand around and be like,
yeah.
And that is really good advice, because I have the merchant that they're escorting will offer them a room at an inn that he knows of, that he's friends with the owner. And the owner of that inn, his father was attacked by the Gnolls.
perfect.
So
Perfect.
that he asked them to retrieve his family amulet or something.
There's your
Yeah.
input.
Yeah.
And I also just want to add one quick thing, which is specifically on the boat ride over. I just get an image in my head of basically you're on the boat, everything is going smooth, and then at one point, suddenly the sky darkens, and you get this uneasy feeling. And as you look out towards the horizon, you see this swirling vortex of black energy. And after a little while, it goes away. That way you set the tone for them that there's something big and scary going on.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be exactly that, but I would love to have something supernatural happening on the boat ride over that really sets the tone that it's basically a way for you to tell them that this is going to be about demons and dark powers without actually having to show them or tell them specifically that it's demons.
Dreams about things are always amazing.
Yeah,
like
it's
this
also a great way
dream
to
that
do
they
it.
have where they see the demons, coming in, and one of the larger demons is holding this pearl in their hand, whatever.
I also have Oathbreaker Paladin in my players that we're kind of having a warlock patron system, where, because she didn't want to take an oath, so she's an Oathbreaker technically, but I didn't like that she had to take an oath and break it, kind of thing. So she has a patron that is, she doesn't know the nature of, but it's actually a devil from the hells that's giving her powers and using her to escape the hells himself. That kind of thing.
Have priests being able to cast detect good and evil and
Right.
see auras on her
Yeah.
and just
Satan, hello.
chase her.
Yeah.
Chase
that
her the fuck
sounds
out.
like I was. That was pretty well timed. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, oh, hi Satan.
Awesome.
Yeah, but like the dream thing could be really cool as well. Like one thing that I thought was super cool that Tim did in the first campaign I played, or in one of them, was that he was like, for this fight, and he handed me a character sheet where the character was a much higher level, and it could be super cool if they have like a prophetic dream in the beginning, and you hand them high-level versions of their characters, and they're fighting like this demon thing, and you can have almost like an introductional battle where the players can really just go ham, and then they wake up and they're back to themselves, or something like that.
I think it would, like, if we're talking about the example where you had Soul, where like this paladin that you're talking about, it could literally be like her ability to like worship this entity just grows too much, or he feeds her too much power one time,
Right.
and for this fight that you have like particularly made harder than it's meant to be, you can bump her up 1, 2, 3 levels, and then like, or have a deal where the devil will be like, you need power, I will give it to you, but you need to do me a favor in return.
Right.
And then this unwinnable fight, because players will never retreat because they're stupid, so you can force them or force her to take this deal.
They'll never
Give
be
her-
arrested.
give
Just
her the
because
power
we
to-
stayed and fought a lich at level 8 doesn't.
1 HP off. 1 HP.
Yeah.
It's never gonna.
Man.
That fucking 1 HP.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just as you already described, because you did it, I find intriguing ways of bringing the characters tighter. One thing that I always ask myself and ask my players when playing is, why would this character stick around in the party and do what they're doing? Why wouldn't they go and do something else? So always make sure that the characters have a reason for sticking together, for continuing on.
Yeah, that is something I make sure I ask
Yeah,
them
good.
frequently.
Awesome.
That's good.
And the whole dreams idea works out perfectly. I just have a perfect party for this campaign. I have a Circle of Dreams druid.
Oh, that's
Whoa.
perfect.
It's just... It makes my DM heart explode, and I love it.
That's great. All right. We are going to see if August is still around. Because
Something like this.
I'm going to throw this question out to everyone, including chat and stuff. My original plan was to have like half-an-hour segments with these things. Is that too long, too short?
It felt too short.
It did pass very quickly.
It does. 45 minutes might be a good, because it depends on if you're running 3 hours, then you can say an hour and a half first doing the world that you're building with Eli, and then you can take another hour and a half for like 2 people if you have that. Because like now
Jay is
it's
also saying 45 minutes.
yeah, it depends on the amount, because now we were just like given a general like, help me with the world. There's literally just a like, help me with the building. Then it's going to be rather quick, depending on how much. I mean, if you set it to 45 minutes and then somebody asks about the help with the building is, then maybe it also could be the point of drawing the map on Incarnate and then giving the person that thing and like making battle maps or whatever for that as well. So I think that you can always stretch it, but I'm not certain if it would be something that people would be happy seeing.
Yeah.
Like,
And I just want to point out, like, I'm talking about like a maximum limit, because on the other hand, like if someone just needs help with like one specific thing, then just trying to spread it out just for the sake of making it 45 minutes would be problematic. So in those situations,
That's why I think having the text channel for advice is a good idea too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
if they
absolutely.
it's a smaller thing that we can just like ask, hey Ian, what do you think of this? Can you help me with that? That kind of thing.
Absolutely. And that is kind of my goal for chat, to be a tool, not just for, because again, like, my whole idea with this stream is not for me to make a world, because I want a world. I mean, yeah, that's a nice bonus. But the idea is to make a community where we all can share our creativity. And so, for instance, last week I saw that, I think it was Satan and Small Town Salt, or maybe it was you as well, Goose, who were writing about your campaigns in the chat. Oops.
Yeah, I think I think what he meant with the that he's dancing Jay, that he is here and we can do him next.
Sure, we can do that. Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't look like August is on.
No. But yes, especially since we have pretty much exactly 45 minutes left, it's probably a good idea. So, Dancing Jay, if you hop into Hub on the Discord, we will pull you in and we will say thank you very much to Goose for sharing.
Thank you guys.
No problem. All right.
I'll go back to the mortal text chats.
Sounds good. See you.
I will actually get Incarnate up straight away for this city. I'm just kind of...
And I'm going to pull in Jumping Jay. Oh, God. It is not doing what I want it to do. There we go.
Well, hello.
Hello. I'm just gonna pull up the questionnaire so that we can read it together.
Yeah, I fairly quickly wrote down everything, so
Yep. No problem.
I just love this idea of getting outside help, because I really felt for a long time that I need inspiration and like with specific, and I don't really have had anywhere to turn. So this is like when I found this channel and what you were doing tonight, my heart just
Oh, that makes me so happy.
Well, me too.
All right, so let's take a look here.
Yes.
I have a world which has been played in a while. However, I have a city where no one has gone yet. This has made it so that I haven't made any details about it, really more than a general idea. The city's name is Kern, and it is a city in the middle of the ocean. That's cool. which is a small island where the city is the entire island. It is a city-state and the home of Dragonborns in my world. Ooh. Also, magic is banned. Awesome. That is one of those classic things that can give for a lot of roleplay shenanigans. I want magic to exist, but maybe controlled or light only.
Oh, I have an idea there already.
Only some people can use. Yeah, like immediately my mind goes to like Taldore in Critical Role, where they have a city called Vasselheim where only divine magic is allowed. So like druids and clerics, no problem. But arcane magic, such as warlocks, wizards, bards, that kind of stuff, that is off limits.
Mm-hmm. That's a cool idea.
So you can
And
do something like that.
another idea would also be forcing magic users to sign up, kind of deal, and like say that I can cast spells of this level, and they have like some sort of system, because you said it was low sci-fi, like high magic. What they can have is they have like a ward which will literally sap people if they use magic and they aren't allowed to. So you can have it where
That's
only
cool.
those that are like allowed to use magic can, and you can like sign up with a very high price or go through a process of being able to use
Yes.
magic.
Yeah.
Otherwise
It's a
you'll get
little
sapped.
Dragon Age-y.
Hmm?
Kinda. I like that.
Yeah, I like that idea, having a ward that saps someone when they do. Boom,
That's
you be
super
naughty.
cool.
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Sorry, continue reading.
Okay. Any elements that we should that is different? The entire world is plagued by what is called the Rip. This is a worldly event which this world got severed from the other planes of existence. So now there is no travel to other planes. Magic that would teleport you or something else doesn't work. Does that include like Misty Step or Dimension Door or stuff like that?
No, I like.
So it's only
I've been-
interdimensional travel.
Yes.
Okay,
I have like small pocket planes exist because they are. In my head, they are actually in this world. You're like a pocket of this world in a way, but you cannot send someone to the plane of fire or whatever.
All right. Yeah, that's cool.
So the real reason for this, I've been writing a little bit further down, is that there is these islands that are coming from other planes that are just popping up in existence every now and then. So that's kind of what the campaign is surrounding this. Why is this happening? And everyone is kind of freaking out, but also like trying to use these islands, whether of exotic means, to, of course, gain money and so on.
Yeah, are we talking these islands here?
Yeah, they are. I tell all my players these islands are just. They might not be where they are right now in the map. They are changing every 5 to 10 years randomly.
I love it. That's really cool, and there's so much fun you can do with that, because you can have basically like relics from like ancient relics that was either put on the island, or it could be a legendary adventurer or a king or a wizard or something who died on this island, and then the island disappeared for like hundreds of years until it popped back into existence on the material plane again. And like you can find stuff there.
Yeah, I actually have one NPC who was gone for 100 years in this world, but for that NPC, he has been like, no, it was only 2 years, wasn't it? So that's a really,
Yeah, I like it. So let's see. Welcome to Orbis Stagnum. Orbis is what people call it. North and south are desolated areas of ice in the north and fire in the south. Most of the north coast is an empire governed by the council in Capitolium, being the biggest and most important city in the world. The south coast is more wild bandit land, with city-states that control their city and the closest lands. The island of Brind is governed by the Sun Elves, mostly known for its bank and noble houses. So kind of like Bravos, yeah. The city of Kern, which I would love to get help with, is a city-state with high military power where the Dragonborns are the controlling race. Okay, cool. So right
I
off
will
the
be.
bat,
Sorry, I was just going to say I will be just doodling a little bit in Incarnate as
Yeah.
we're doing this, and if
Sure.
you find out that you want to have the map, I can share it with you.
Sounds lovely.
so the first thought that pops into my head is mercenaries. Like, perhaps Kern is. Come to think of it, I may be stealing this from another campaign.
Probably are. I mean,
probably.
that's what we do as DMs.
Yeah, that's
We
true.
steal.
It's quite hard
but,
not to.
But like, maybe the Dragonborns as a race, they have very high. I mean, generally, Dragonborns tend to be very proud. They're very
Yeah.
proud people, and so maybe they've taken pride in being amazing warriors and mercenaries, and like. It's like a status symbol almost to have a dragonborn bodyguard, for instance. Like, the richest nobles will pay vast sums to have a dragonborn just to show off that they have a dragonborn. Or something like that. That could also give, like, a background for a player. If they want to play a dragonborn, they have the option of being like, oh, I was a mercenary for X number of years. And that's their background.
Yeah, I have had some mercenary groups from Kern being around, so yeah, I really go with that idea a lot, that they are like known for their, yeah, like they are capable soldiers and they are hired and paid well for that.
So, what is it that you want the players to experience when they come to Kern?
Well, I want them. The first feeling I want them to be scared. Like, I want this to be kind of like, oh shit, in a way. Like,
So, oh shit, as in, like, we're fucked, or oh shit, like, this is a force to be reckoned with?
more force to be reckoned with, because it doesn't have to be that they are it has hostile or anything. That it's still a city and doing trade with other cities and so on. So it's not like they're evil or anything like that. But
Yeah, like Satan's saying, impressive force.
yeah,
So basically, having a lot of patrols going around and them being like very, very armored, very disciplined, and having perhaps a lot of places where they would openly train and show off this fight.
Yeah, I love the opening scene in my head of, like, you arrive at the island and one of the first things you see is like this almost boot camp like thing where dragonborn whelps, they look like they can't be older than 4 or 5 years old in human years, and they are sparring with such ferocity. Like, both kids are bleeding from having whacked each other with wooden swords and stuff. Like, really establish that they are being hard trained from such an early age. And then you see patrols pretty much everywhere. Like, the patrolling probably isn't even as much for security as it is for just showing off.
Yeah, exactly, and probably then the most in well, what would be the harbor area where people from other places come. Maybe not so much in inner cities, because they don't need to show that to those who live in the city, I'm thinking.
So how big do you want this island to be? You said it's one city. Are we talking the city is self-supplying, so that outside of the city there is farms, and then that is what sustains the population.
Could also be
Uh,
fishing.
I like the idea that like basically the entire island is walled off. Like there's no farmlands really here. So yeah, I guess then fishing would be one way of getting. And if the I see it's very
it can
stony.
it can still be like farms where they farm within the walls, like just very small sections that can be like vertical farms, where they're like just very efficient with the little land that they have. Like just everything very tall, everything very meticulous and precise. So there's not a lot of like open space that isn't used.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, because they're so restricted. Yeah.
I also really like Satan's idea here about having a giant dragon statue standing above the harbor.
Yeah, I love it also. I love it so much that that's exactly how it is in Brind when they enter that city. And my party just came there. So
okay.
It will feel like I'm doing the same thing everywhere. But I want something that is like Colossus feeling to it.
So I have... It will kind of fuck up if I share the screen. Unless, is it you that's fiddling with it, or is it Sarah that's fiddling with it?
I'm fiddling with it.
So if I share my screen, I can show you what I'm doing. Might. So
bear with us.
Bear with us as we're doing. So my thinking was, I know that it was a bit more pointy on your end. If this is the harbor, then have the capital, like the palace, in the middle.
Oh yeah.
And the harbor goes around, so they see this like massive palace of just power as everyone sails in. You know, they can see the tall towers with the guards walking around, the massive flags flapping. They can see the 60-foot tall, 10 feet thick iron wall that is covering it as well. And depending on how like sci-fi or like how medieval, there could be cannons on the walls or large ballistae as that they're like entering. They just see this power to be reckoned with.
Yeah, like a huge, like you say, palace, fortress, demanding respect. Yeah, love it. But then I'm thinking, so this kind of city, how I'm a bit stuck with my political thinking, because it always ends up being the same, that it's not very democracy never really happens in my settings. I don't know why.
I mean, it was a very long like before we used it. I would say for Dragonborn, I think a Senate would be kind of cool. I think where you have because it's a very small city but still very powerful, where the rulers of the Senate would be the top guilds. It would be maybe 2 or 3 noble families that have the most power, and it could possibly be the one cleric that is the one that is allowed to use all of the magic all of the time or whatever. So you just have like certain factions having seats in the Senate, and they're like battling it out there politically. Did I fuck the entire stream up when I...
No. It's fine. I just figured out how to do this.
You can remove my face and put the incarnate map instead. But I need to see my beautiful mug.
There we go. Is me. Goose, thank you for the subscription.
A second one.
There we go. There I am. Now I just gotta find Tim. I see.
Keep asking questions when he's doing things.
Oh yeah.
I can do two things at the same time. So.
I was sorry. I was just watching. Yeah. Well. What else? So I. But how? We have a military city. Yes, the known for their mercenaries, and it says like it's governed by a senate. But
There we go. Sort of.
But maybe a little bit more thinking about this magic issue or magic controlling. So first off, we talked about an anti-magic ward.
Yes.
So would that be like kind of you have to have a license?
Yeah, I would say so. If we're talking about you want like all the power here in the middle,
Yeah.
I would say that they have a massive spire in which they have like this ward that is sitting and just has control of all of the area, and possibly even a bit out as well. Maybe that's why they have been able to sustain themselves for such a long time that ships within X hundred feet of the island, like they lose their magical abilities as well or they get sapped.
Yeah.
So it's also very hard for them to kind of push in and get onto the island.
Yeah. And just like Satan is writing in chat here, like that gets the picture when they're entering. You seeing this massive spire shooting out some kind of zapping someone just as they're coming, and like probably having some shipwrecks just by the sides when this power starting.
Yeah.
Love that visual
Awesome.
feeling.
I think
that's
for
definitely gonna make the PCs feel like, oh shit, we better not rock the boat here.
And for the license, it could simply be such a thing that either they have to be Dragonborn, so it's simply like people who aren't Dragonborn can't even get it, but then it would be it could be such a thing where you have to show your powers, and then pay a price to be able to cast magic. And then it could also be limiting so that it can only be spells up to a certain spell slot, depending on how much you pay.
Mm-hmm.
It could be a thing of where they have to approve you mentally before. So it really depends on how you want to do that part.
Yeah, I kind of like this license with spell slots. Like, oh yeah, I have a level 2 or level 4 license.
Yeah. Because that is also a way that you can kind of force your players into a situation that they don't like. Like if they have to do something in the city and they would normally do it by magic, then now they have to think in other ways or get this license where they have to spend money. And then if you want to be really cruel, it could also be that this anti-magic thing knows who is casting what and where, kind of deal. So if they still try to do something finicky with the spells, then they might get caught. But that's if you want to be cruel.
Yeah, that's one route, and that it could be. But also, I kind of like the idea that it's just this mechanical thing that saps when it feels that illegal spell is cast, and that because that also will give them some space to maybe do illegal stuff, and then I can be cruel when they have done illegal stuff, rather when they can try to get out of it, rather than I instantly know.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool from Satan, that having these small orbs following people.
Mm.
Oh. So it's basically like spy drones, but magical.
Yeah.
I like that. Could be. I don't remember. It's been a while since I watched Critical Role, to be honest. I'm gonna get back into it. But what was I thinking of? Right. I also really like the idea of having like a champion's walk.
Sorry, say that
the-
again. You cut out.
Oh, having a so-called a champion's walk, which could be like, there's this one particular like main road that is lined with statues of legendary warriors.
Yes.
And like each warrior has a plaque of like, this heroic dragonborn fought off 2 Behirs by himself, or something like that.
Oh yeah, and then having it littered with bards just playing this anthems for them for a
Yeah.
pretty penny. I love it.
Because it feels like this people is a very proud people, so they would like to parade like the greatest ones they've had.
Yeah, of course. Yes, absolutely.
So maybe that's even like the walk from the harbor into the city, to
Ooh.
the city proper,
Yes. Yes.
so that anyone coming in from the harbor would see these heroes.
It's really cool. I'm getting so many ideas like with my players because I know exactly what they're gonna.
Awesome.
It's so funny. Yeah, love it. Or I don't know. I think I know.
Yeah.
You always think
it's a
you
sign
know.
of a wise DM to change his mind from saying "I know exactly what my players are gonna do" to
Think too.
maybe I don't actually.
Yeah, I just realized now when I said it. That, well, I think I've said this before and been completely wrong. So
yeah, I know exactly.
let's
what
learn
you
from my
mean.
mistakes.
Been there.
Mm-hmm.
I've had moments where I've been so sure of what my players are gonna do, because like a combination of knowing my players and this seems like the obvious thing to do, and still they surprise me.
Yeah.
Getting surprised by your players. Oy, oy, oy.
Oh yeah, because we never surprised you.
Letting a demigod vampire out and then never doing anything about it for 6 years.
We got TPK.
6 years. 6 years.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, about that.
But what other cool aspects? Obviously, there's got to be fighting pits.
Yes.
So fighting pits with a twist. How?
Yeah,
Not so-
there could absolutely be fighting pits with a twist. I'm sorry, I just
Is-
wrote,
are
I
we
just read
thinking
what
glad-
Bruce wrote. Wait, you want to do what with the Demilich skull? Which is really funny because in my current campaign, one of the players has the skull of like a full-fledged lich. Who has been
Why?
rendered a comic relief character. Because basically it's like he was super evil, but he was decapitated, and because he didn't die properly, he's just a skull. So he can't really cast any spells or really do anything, but he still wants to be evil.
Of course it is.
it's kind of like if you've ever played The Curse of Monkey Island. He's kind of like Murray, the demonic talking skull.
Unfortunately, I don't recognize that, but I have a quite similar. Actually, in my campaign in this world, they just stumble upon a goldfish in a bowl, which just so happens to be a lich, devil lich trapped in there.
Oh.
So yeah, they're gonna bring that one hopefully to the city here. I have yet to figure out how to get it out, but they probably figure out some fun shit. So
That's a beautiful thing. I love coming up with puzzles that I don't have the answers for. Because I've noticed that whenever I come up with puzzles or just in general, like if I come up with things and I'm like, okay, this is the way to solve this, then it tends to get kind of weird because I feel like I become less flexible in that kind of thinking, rather than if I just like, here's a problem, solve it.
yeah.
Satan is wondering if the Kerns are clean or dirty fighters. You mean like if they fight honorably or not? I'm guessing.
I think they are very clean.
Yeah,
They are very proud and would not be happy should someone, I don't know, hit below the belt.
Sheet.
Goose says that in a game that he's a player in, the party paladin decided that his alignment was chaotic stupid, and he licked the demon's blood fresh off of his axe. That sounds like a terrible idea.
Yeah, I sold my soul to a hag once, thinking that I would survive.
That also sounds like a terrible idea.
Yeah, it was. I didn't survive.
I mean, to be fair, I've done some pretty stupid shit in my days too.
Yes, you have.
Don't have to be so quick to agree, man.
The city then, like other aspects that I think you should try to incorporate is like for taverns or inns, like have the Dragonborn have a very specific mannerism that they're not used to. Like something that Dragonborn will do that is like very common for them to do and just like do it by nature. But when the players come, there's going to be like, what the fuck are they doing? And you know they're just kind of doing it.
Well, like lick each other's nose when they meet as a Greek.
That could be a thing, like lick each other's nose when they meet somebody friendly. Like, I perhaps not that extreme, but like something along those lines. I like
it because with lizards.
Yeah.
So it could actually be, and I kind of like the idea of it being something that extreme because it will be a culture shock for the players.
Yeah,
when they arrive there and like a Dragonborn is like, "Welcome, friend." They're like, "Whoa, the hell are you doing?" Satan has a good point also. He says that if they fight clean, then rather than having fighting pits, maybe it's like a Colosseum.
Yeah, I like that a lot actually.
One Colosseum or several?
There could be several.
I mean, there could be the Colosseum, and then there could be
there might be
Colosseums
around.
Yeah.
Like the highest honor is to fight in the Colosseum.
Yeah.
How stuck up are the nobles in the city?
Are there nobles?
I mean, the Dragonborn.
Yeah. I kind of like the idea if they're not stuck up at all, actually. Like, because nobles always
are stuck up.
I feel like overall, what I want to do with this city is kind of a little bit break the stereotypical thinking. And since I already have a quite noble, stick-up, annoying pieces of privilege in the high elf story. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah. I love that expression. That's
so
why
so
I reacted to it. I'm gonna start using that.
so yeah, kind of like the opposite here, where they are very proud
Chill.
of their own,
Yeah.
but still not threatened maybe so much by outsiders.
I get the sense that they're very pragmatic. Like, yeah, I could wear fancy clothes and show off my riches, but we are Dragonborn. Even the nobles are warriors, you know?
Yeah, that's my idea also. Like exactly like that. That it's here. It's not about how you look or how you're dressed or how your mannerism is. It's if you have the blood of one of the statues in the Champions Walk, then you're somebody.
So then you would frequently see these nobles then like these high ups like fights in the Colosseum and such as well, and just be very down to earth. And I think that
Right.
using that like having the place, because where the players are coming from, nobles are a big deal, I'm assuming, especially having come from being at the elven place then.
Yeah.
So have them be like, maybe, you know, force them to offend a noble as well, and then be told that, you know, that's a noble, but everybody seems a bit chill with it, just to force that barrier on them a little bit more.
Yeah, but it could be a little bit go hand in hand with this unique mannerism. Like, of course, because they're gonna break that, most likely.
Yeah, unless they're
I
very
can also
bad.
see my players just okay. We start licking each other's nose. That's totally fine by me. So, but
That's fine then.
but if they like break it, like, hey, you should know that we actually lick each other's nostrils here.
Oh, nostril as well. Gosh,
Oh.
I don't want to be a part of that.
By the way, I just want to point out, like, maybe the Colosseum is most of the time reserved for quote-unquote elections, because I get the feeling that this is a cratocracy, 100%. A cratocracy being the strongest rule.
Oh yeah.
So they're
I think, like,
quote-unquote
I
elections are
understand.
basically
Maybe
tournaments.
they settle things through that if they can't come to an agreement.
Oh yeah.
But I think that it might be very easily corruptible if it is the strongest rule. Like, even though, you know, because then it will be more like the Crotox, like having one person in power, especially on a smaller island, will usually turn shit with like it, because it's enough for one person to be bad, and then like the rest like will have no chance really. But maybe that's just me being the boring cynic.
Oh, so I'm so sorry. I was reading chat, so I didn't quite pick up on what you said.
You ignored what I said, you absolute dipshit.
Well, I listened.
That's the important part.
Right? But I'm thinking, because we're talking about this Senate first, so probably these different. I'm thinking now that there should be a couple of different houses, noble families, more or less, that have. They all have one from their family who is the one in the Senate. And then if they are arguing, well, then I will send my cousin, which is this house noble fighter, and then the other one will send their noble fighter.
Yes.
And that way they decide which route to go. So there's also then going to be room for alliances between the houses, and some intrigue there.
That's
But
awesome.
using both ideas.
So it's basically like trial by combat is their standard
Yeah.
way to solve disputes. I love it. Satan was saying that in his experience, the people that have seen horrible things are more humble, and they love to live day by day.
Yeah, I understand you, but I'm thinking
really.
outside influence. Like, it's enough with that one ghost getting a possession and fucking up everything if there's like one person like that's.
Well, the ghost would be sapped because he doesn't have a permit.
I mean, the possession technically isn't a spell.
True.
It's an ability.
True.
If you want to get down to technicalities. Temples, like do they pray? Like, are they religious?
Oh, yeah. I have quite heavy, many, like everything from a small god of the rabbits to god of the sun, basically.
I will make like a temple district part.
I actually just love just watching you building. The way you build gives me tips also on when I am supposed to be doing this.
Yeah.
Different cities, and I'm quite new to Incarnate.
You should check out as well when we do our world. We have Sarah building that world map, and she is incredible. If I remember correctly, Incarnate even asked for permission to use one of her maps on their website.
Aye, that's cool.
That is pretty fun.
Yeah, so happy I stumbled upon this stream. Gonna be sure to follow
We're
it.
happy you did too.
You gave us something to do.
And I'm having a bunch of ideas for the other world that we're building. Just from that's also part of the beauty that you can get inspired by other people's worlds.
Yeah, exactly. I wrote down a couple of notes for some other things with your session with Goose as well. So it's so lovely.
I'm thinking a burial for those that have their statues. So a very, very honorable place to be buried.
Yeah.
Yes. Goose, I completely agree. When I started this particular stream, I didn't dare to dream that it would be this efficient, this quick.
How old is the channel?
This is the 4th stream.
Oh,
in total.
Cool.
It's been like a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Amazing.
Or has it been 4 weeks with
like
what you've done with Carpe? Okay, so 4 weeks. Yeah. Just adding a bunch of stuff.
Can we have some more suggestions, maybe from chat as well, for the special manners? If we're not going with Lycnosis, is there anything else we can do that's like?
I was down with
quite
Lycnosis,
funny.
just not maybe
handshakes.
Yeah, but if it came so fast, I'm feeling that it would be nice to get some perspective on that. If there's something else that could be funny as well.
Like weird handshakes, like which you can see, like sometimes people do like these very elaborate like handshakes that literally everyone knows, but the players don't.
I love the idea of just having, the classic grabbing on around the wrist and then headbutting each other.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
something like like showing their strength, like headbutting each other or kicking each other, or
because like the harder you're able to do and still stand, the more respect you gain, and that'll get some players to really go for it.
Oh yeah,
this one. And then it's like you do it at arm's length, so you stand as far away from each other, grab wrist, and then it becomes a tug of war. So the person who manages to like get the other person in and embrace them is like the strongest and the winner.
The one that's hugging the other one is the winner. That's cool.
I like that too.
I'm writing down hug contest.
Hug contest. Yes. Unfortunately, I have to point out that we are running out of time.
Yes.
But people stick around because we are going to raid Tales Around the Tavern Fire once we're done here.
And I will plop this map in when it's done for you to grab.
Yeah, we have chats in Discord for those kind of things. But yeah, like, I'm just so stoked that this seems to work. To
Well,
have a
I'm stoked
short
to find a place to express my thoughts and give my thoughts, and because I really, like I said, I feel like this is something I've been missing a lot.
Mm.
Like,
That is
because you can
actually-
search so much on YouTube and find so many how to do this and how to do this, and you get inspiration. But sometimes, like now, I want really clear help with this special thing because I'm
Yeah,
stuck
yeah.
in my head, and that's so great.
I'll be honest, like, literally, I used to do the same thing. Like, I was having trouble getting inspiration for things in my world or for my campaign or whatever, and I would like search YouTube for DM inspiration talks, whatever. But I never found any, and so that's kind of the reason why I decided to do this. All right.
Cool. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
No problem.
And thanks
stick
to
around.
Satan and Goose, who has been helping also.
Please come back next week. We will. Although next week is Easter, that is something we haven't talked about yet. If we're
Yeah.
Who
if we're going
cares?
to do a stream next week or not.
Of course we are.
Yeah.
I think so.
What?
I think we'll still do it.
And just a shout out to all the new subscribers as well. Thank
You
so
cut
much.
Yes.
out. Move the mic closer to your mouth.
Move closer to the mic.
Oh, thanks for the subscribers. We appreciate
Hey.
it.
We appreciate you guys
And the followers.
and the followers and all of you. We are going to leave it off here, but we are going to raid
So,
Tales Around the Tavern Fire, so stick around. I'll see you next week.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
See you.
Thank you.
So we're heading.
We are about to raid.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us. And now, raid.